Hey guys! For anyone new here, this is part 3. If you didn't see the first 2 videos on this story, I've linked them in the description. But basically, OP's husband Luke has a very close childhood friend. Suspiciously close. Her name is Amy. There's been a ton of red flags that maybe they might be more than just friends, and that her children might actually be Luke's. Now OP's daughter Sophie and Amy's son Tom want to date each other. And OP is freaking out because she thinks they're probably half siblings and don't know. Alrighty, let's get into it. Update 2. After posting my first update, I did a lot of thinking about my kids. Ultimately, I decided that whatever happened, I need to warn Sophie about the situation and to do so immediately. To hell with Luke and whatever that meant for him. Even if that meant all the kids learned about the situation, she needs to be aware of what she might be getting herself into. So today, I discreetly kept her out of school. This morning, I dropped everyone off and saved Sophie for last. I drove right past her school and told her that we needed to talk. Always a frightening thing for a teenager to hear from a parent, but I quickly reassured her that she wasn't in trouble. I told her that she needed to know the truth about why Amy and I were fighting, and why her dating Tom was out of the question. I very gently explained that because of Luke's closeness to Amy, and Tom's resemblance to him, I'd come to suspect that perhaps Luke and Amy were intimate at some point over the years. If that was true, and there was any chance that Tom's father was actually Luke, that would be a significant problem. Sophie was quiet during all of this. She finally said that we need to go get Tom and discuss this with him as well. I agreed, so she texted him to meet us. They're both skipping school today, but Sophie gets straight A's, and this is extremely important. I explained everything to Tom. I also apologized for giving him the impression that I didn't think it was good enough for my daughter, and to both of them, for not telling them the truth sooner. Tom and Sophie just gave each other this oddly knowing look, and that's when they blew my mind. Sophie spoke first, with Tom backing her up. They revealed to me that, in fact, they'd already known about Luke and Amy, or at least they'd strongly suspected. Apparently Tom has overheard conversations that are questionable, as well as overhearing certain sounds from Amy's room. All signs point to Amy's lover having been Luke. Tom had wondered for a very long time, and back in January, he finally voiced his fears to Sophie. She agreed with them. She could also see a strange sort of closeness between her father and his mother. They agreed that Luke was likely having an affair. They thought that, because of Kaylee's allergy, Luke might very well be her father too, and if Kaylee was Luke's daughter, then the rest of Tom's siblings could be Luke's as well. The math led them to the same place as me. So, Sophie and Tom came up with a plan. As it turns out, they're not in love. They never were. They're still just best friends. They didn't want to blow up our entire family and social unit without more direct evidence, which Tom has been working on getting. And though Sophie very badly wanted to tell me the truth, she was hesitant because she knew it would shatter me. She had no idea I was already suffering in silence. Sophie apologized for not voicing her suspicions sooner. Honestly, we both cried, and I made sure she understood that none of this was her fault, and that I love her very much. So, the bottom line is, Sophie and Tom already knew they could be half siblings and aren't actually interested in dating. It was just their idea of how to rock the boat. To force Luke and Amy to do something about the situation, rather than just keep making a fool out of me. I also think it was Tom and Sophie's way of punishing them for their affair. Teenagers can be very vindictive. Every flirtation I've witnessed, every inappropriate touch, all staged, and all for the benefit of Luke and Amy. This was supposed to make them sweat. Sophie and Tom expected they'd jump out of their seats to forbid it. But when I was the one who did instead, that kinda threw them through a loop. They couldn't understand why I cared more than the actual cheaters, and they began to suspect that maybe I knew. Tom confronting me that one time about why can't I date Sophie was actually him trying to gauge if I knew or not. I will say, it's such a relief to have told Sophie, and I feel like an elephant has taken one of its feet off my chest. Having her in my corner, and Tom in my corner as well, means a lot to me. And even though I basically just got it confirmed that Luke is sleeping with Amy, I kinda already knew that anyway. So now it's just a question of how to proceed. Tom has already volunteered to submit his DNA so I can compare it to Luke's. Both he and Sophie don't think I should tell Luke and Amy about this, and I agree. Tom has also been trying to set up a camera in Amy's room to catch her and Luke in the act. Ugh, that's his parents. He's trying to film his own parents, his own mum having sex? I can't believe OP isn't telling him not to do that. You really shouldn't secretly film anyone, much less your own parents, in their own bedroom. Yikes! Just get a bloody DNA test, jeez. Sophie told me flat out that I need to divorce her dad. And hearing that from my own daughter made it clearer than it's ever been. She's right. Down in the comments, people asked for more clarifying details. Forward Most 1933 says, I'm curious if Tom ever clarified if Luke actually sleeps on the couch when he stays over at Amy's. OP responded, I asked, and he said yes he does. However, many times Tom has gone to bed while Luke was on the couch, and later got up in the middle of the night and found out that Luke wasn't there anymore, and he wasn't in his car either. Sensitive Engineer asked, was Tom home the night your husband stayed over to calm things down with Amy? OP responded, yes, and according to him, he heard things. That was a punch in the gut. So, while OP was awake all night stressing and asking for updates, they were hooking up and laughing at her the whole time. Wow. I don't get why they didn't just marry each other instead of putting OP through all this. Is it like their kink or something? OK Linerberry says, question. In the first post, you mentioned that you make good money and Luke's parents are wealthy. So, does that mean Amy and Luke don't work? Are you bankrolling them along with Luke's parents? OP responded, they both work, though Amy's job wouldn't be enough to support her family on its own. Luke also makes far less than I do, but he comes from a richer family than me. So, she has been financially supporting his mistress and second family this whole time. Where do people get this audacity? Z Elderpin says, okie dokie, have Tom and Sophie be sitting on the couch when Luke comes home one day and drop the bomb that Sophie is pregnant. Or say they had the same thoughts as you did and they did their own DNA tests and surprise, you are the father. OP responded and said, actually, that was something they'd considered doing before, and now that the three of us are on the same page, it's not the worst idea. Yes, do it! I'm following the story as it unravels, so if you want to see how it ends, please subscribe.